Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Esoteric on our continuing series on the MiSTer FPGA DE10 Nano board project. And today we're going to be talking about different filter presets that have been recently added to MiSTer to get you that CRT-like look. Obviously this is a PVM CRT in front of you. I know a lot of people play on flat panel TVs but want that classic CRT look, so we're going to talk about some of the filters that are available in MiSTer and the presets. Before we get too far involved, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like, subscribe, and that notification bell definitely helps us out. If you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, we have a Patreon link below as well, but I won't stomp on you like I did that Koopa right there if you don't. But if you go into an updated MiSTer and you go to video presets, you're going to see all of these different options for all the different horizontal, vertical filters we can put on, scan filters, gamma correction, shadow masks. We have so many different options to articulate the image, and while those are absolutely amazing and I love them and I give all the credit in the world to the people that made them, for a newcomer, it can be kind of daunting. So what we have now is presets, different sets of filters that are all combined together to give you a certain type of look. We have scanline filters, we have different interpolations, but then we also have display-specific filters, things that you would probably know. Sony Trinitron, Sony PVM, VGA monitor, a JVC monitor, things that would be well known to you. So just popping one on, not articulating any of the fine granular settings whatsoever, you can see the video in Super Mario World has completely changed. Is it for the better? Is it for the worse? You get to decide. There is no right or wrong video filter subjectively. It is what you think looks best to you, because comparing that filter to a PVM, it's close, but it needs some dialing in my opinion. But that's the fun part about all of these filters, is you can change so much. If we go in here, back to the presets and hit load preset, we can just put something else in. If you want no filters, just pick no filters and you're back to the original image. The freedom that these presets give you to play around with what your MiSTer looks like if you're not using a CRT are absolute gold. It is so much fun to go in and decide what you want things to look like. Because if I put on VGA monitor, I love this image that's coming out of my MiSTer right now on my HDMI signal into my capture card. I think it looks spectacular, and I would actually probably play with the VGA filter on versus no processing whatsoever. But if you want to change something around like the gamma settings or the shadow mask, you can then, after you load the preset, play around with settings. So if there's something you're not quite happy about, if you think maybe the screen's too bright or too dark, you get all of these different settings. And if you just want to throw it to something completely different, within 3 seconds, you can change what MiSTer looks like. And that is so much fun. I play around with the gamma correction a lot, and I do that almost game by game to try to dial in the color that I want. Obviously, you can go way too dark, you can go too bright, but I think gamma is a really nice place to start. But let's take a look at something like Mega Man X2, not side by side, but one image then the next. You can see right off the top that we do have filtration going on here, and we have that shadow mask, that grid pattern on screen. And if we move over to the completely unfiltered version, everything crisps up, it's a little bit brighter, and there is no shadow mask on top. And it's just a different look, and that's what I really want you to take away from this video, other than showing you the different filters that you can play around with, is that these are just different looks. They obviously don't change the way the game plays whatsoever, and depending on what model of television you have, what looks good on your screen may look terrible on mine, and what looks great on mine may look terrible on yours. But moving over again to another preset, just going over to PVM here, let's just play around with it a little bit. You can see I articulated it, and now we have a really fine grid pattern going on, and this again looks really good to me. Even though the intro to Mega Man X2 is dark, I still think we have a really nice image going here, and it takes a little bit of the vibrancy out of the colors off the unfiltered image, and I think for some games that works really well. And what I've been noticing is it's actually working really well for me in some of the darker games. Something like Splatterhouse here, the colors, while they're perfectly accurate and look great, if we go ahead and filter it down, and what you'll see here is I'm going to go ahead and load another preset, it's going to change, and I think that it looks a lot better. I'm gravitating a lot towards the VGA monitor filter. Now granted, that would be a much finer shadow mask because we're dealing with a higher pixel density monitor, but I love how that's looking. I'm not trying to emulate a PVM. I'm not trying to emulate, a CRT like a Trinitron. That VGA look really has it for me. And going right back to the normal source, I think maybe Splatterhouse is slightly too bright to my eye without that filtration on. And that's the thing. You're going to be changing these filters game by game, but they only take 3 seconds to change. See, and in real time, not even pausing the game, I just go up to that VGA monitor, pop it on, and I'm still playing the game. I didn't even pause and nothing attacked me. That's how much fun it is, and that's how easy it is to change these filters around. But let's take a look at the intro to Ristar side by side. On the left hand side, that VGA monitor filter, and on the right hand side, no filter. That flame in the back, the flickering, has a little bit more contrast than it with that shadow mask on top, and I think it's giving us a better image subjectively. This is of course going through a capture card, this is of course being compressed for YouTube, so it might be a little bit harder to see on your phone or on your TV when you watch it versus what I am seeing, but I just like how the intro looks ever so slightly better. You may think the version on the right looks better, and that is totally fine, but these filters just give you so much freedom to play around and articulate that image. I love them, and I will show you some more options just moving forward in a second, but starting off with that VGA filter still on, all of the nice poppy colors of Ristar are coming through, but there's a little bit more contrast in it. That white in the background isn't so vibrant, but the blacks in the front, kind of that light pencil outline around those plants there, looks absolutely spectacular. Now if we go over to the next version with no filtration whatsoever, you can see right here, once we turn it off with the no filters, that's just basically off, everything gets a little bit brighter, and I think maybe it gets like 5% too bright. But again, it's game dependent. Something like Sonic the Hedgehog 3, I actually preferred it with no filters on, and it's really funny that that happens. But there's so many different options. Let me walk you through just some of them to get you started so you know what looks like what. So taking a look at F-Zero running on the Super Nintendo core, this is with absolutely no filters applied. This is just what you would be getting from your MiSTer if you plugged it in and started playing the game. It looks great. The colors are good. Everything's playing perfectly as you would expect, but we can play around with the image to see if there's maybe something we like a little bit more. And trust me, with these filters you can always dial in something that looks really bad too. Not that any of these presets are bad, it just might not be what you're looking for and it might not be great for that game. But let's just pop on the PVM filter and you're going to see it changes up. Now I do think this filter doesn't compress the best, so it might look a little bit different when you watch it versus how I'm seeing it, but I think maybe it's brought the brightness down a little bit too much for F-Zero, so maybe we could change the gamma on that, or let's pop on something like the high contrast filter. Now we're getting a little bit more of that brightness, and we can change around the gamma correction on that to brighten up the image ever so slightly more. Now I think we're getting closer to what I like it to look like. We brought a little bit of that brightness back, but it's still less bright than having no filters on whatsoever. And that's just how granular these filters can be. The presets, sometimes they're perfect, sometimes they get you pretty close, and you can dial them in from there. Let's just throw something like the Scanline filter on, maybe on soft, or maybe we can go around and put it onto medium. Now we have that brightness, we've got a nice looking Scanline going on, and all we had to do was push one button. And that's where these presets are so important. Learn how to use them, learn what they look like, go into the settings for each of them, and then just play around a little bit. But taking a look at New Adventure Island here on the PC Engine, again, it looks great with any filtration, and that's what I really want to point out here. Is with no filters whatsoever, MiSTer has an amazing look. But if we go ahead and put something on, like these filters here, let's play around with that poly setting really quick, and let's play around with the scan line thickness or density, for lack of a better term. And at 95, this to me looks perfect. Where the filter had it, I didn't love it. I'm not saying the filter's not right, I'm just saying it's not right to my eye. And a big thanks to TrashUncle for making a lot of these different presets. He's been huge in the Shadow Mask community, and all of his stuff is absolutely amazing. And it's just adding to the MiSTer ecosystem. It lets you dial in a look that you like. Or maybe you're just playing MiSTer on analog televisions and you don't care whatsoever. It doesn't apply to you, but that's the thing about MiSTer. I will play mine on my LCD 4K TV in my living room, and then I will move it into the other room and hook it up to a CRT, but I get not all of us can have a CRT set up at all times, and that's why these filter presets are so great. But what I recommend is just go in, play with them, and see what you like. And if you don't have them, just make sure to use MiSTer Update All or Downloader to get those into your system. Short of that, thanks so much for watching, guys. I will be back next Thursday with another MiSTer video, and I'll have videos throughout the week as well. But yeah, these filter presets are a great place to start. They make MiSTer even better. See you next time. Bye-bye.